What's up? It's Pat. Welcome back to Ground Zero Salem. I'm listening to Phobia. I've been listening to a ton of Phobia lately. Thanks, Jason, for that. Right now, I'm spinning Means of Existence via this box set. Decades of Blasphemy on Self-Made God Records. This is a band that brings up a lot of memories for me. This right here. Just crushing. So good. Pummeling grindcore. This to me is their best record. This came out on Slap-A-Ham, a label that was known for a lot of power violence, kind of hardcore stuff. Amazing amount of bands on that label, but they were more of the hardcore variety. Phobia was a band that were pretty much of a punk rock background, but kind of had roots in death metal. They kind of successfully merged the burgeoning death metal sounds of the early 90s with a lot of the stenchcore, crustcore stuff from the UK on Return to Desolation. It's definitely very much a grindcore record, but you can hear a lot of that kind of, I don't know, Prophecy of Doom, Axe Grinder kind of vibe on it a bunch. Very political, left-leaning, environmental, you know, that sort of thing. Core lineup was Shane McLaughlin and Steve Berta for most of their existence. I think Steve left after a certain point. Recently, like within the past decade or so, came back. There's a lot of lineup changes with Phobia, so I'm not really going to try to tackle that too hard. But anyway, I got Serenity Through Pain. I talked about it a few updates back, and it got me wanting to listen to Phobia a bunch. Got to see them a couple of times, one of which my old band Mechanable opened for them in Providence, and they completely mopped the stage with us. We were also a grindcore band that did not have the chops they had. Steve Berta's huge dreads were flying all over the place. One of the few guys in metal bands that can properly pull off dreadlocks, in my humble opinion. All that surface level shit aside, some of the best written grindcore this side of the Mississippi. It's just really, really good shit, you know? I think they could go toe-to-toe in the ring with Napalm Death or Nasum or any of these bigger bands that come to mind when you just say pure grindcore. You know, I think at their best, they are very reminiscent of Terrorizer. I think there's the same range of influences there from like extreme noise terror and doom and then, you know, early death metal. But yeah, this box set compiles everything they recorded from their very raw 1990 demo, which is awesome. First time I've ever heard it, all the way up to whatever they recorded in 2012, which I think is the split with Resist and Exist. It's they did a lot of splits. There's a split with Gadget from 2010. There's a split with Extinction of Mankind, who are fucking awesome. Also from 2010. Grind Your Fucking Head In, Get Up and Kill. All these great records. Yeah, amazing discography. Inside of it, this was put out by a label called Self-Made God. BT Dubs, who are a European label. Eastern European, I think, but don't quote me on that. I'm not absolutely sure. Look at booklet right there. Yeah, split with an Irish band called Abandoned Incarnates on there. Really, really nice collages of them throughout the years playing live. There's the dreads flying. One of the only dudes in metal other than maybe Jeff Walker that could pull off dreads like that. Max Cavalera certainly failed. Yeah, 2011, 2012 is the cutoff for this. There's this really interesting My Friends Are Grind 7-inch on here from 2008 that where they cover Minor Threat, Agnostic Front, and Youth of Today, which is weird to me. Not a typical move for a band from the OC. You know, I saw that with Spaz and Monster X. Those bands seemed more, although both kind of grindcore related, seem more likely to cover like Youth Crew or New York hardcore, straight edge hardcore kind of stuff. But the covers are really good. And right now we're enjoying my favorite record by them, which is Means of Existence. Also on this CD after this is the Destroying the Masses. And Return to Desolation's also on here. I mean, this just doesn't... This is a non-stop fucking cornucopia of grindcore. It has its weak moments, notably that Serenity Through Pain CD that I talked about a couple updates back. Although it sounds better on here. I don't know if it was remastered, but it sounds fuller and louder. But yeah, it's hit or miss and kind of spotty. I know Get Up and Kill and Grind Your Fucking Head In are really good, but one of those, the only thing that makes a difference with this band really is the production. Like, they're always non-stop killing it with songwriting and intensity. It's just how the drums sound on recording to recording, really, and the fullness of the guitar tone. I think they sound their best when the drums are full and loud and not too process sounding or tappy. You know, you had that kind of pingy snare on some of that stuff. I think a couple of people tried to produce this band like they were like a slam or gore grind kind of band, maybe. They're better when it's all super rumbly and low end. A good example of that's the split with Gadget, which was recent, 2010, and that recording is great. I'd never heard it. It opens the whole box set, and it's fucking awesome. So I felt compelled to pick this up because I've been listening to a ton of grind lately. Thanks to all those scores from Jason via Wayne. Thanks again, boys. Oop, that's upside down. But yeah, this is the layout. I mean, look at that shit. Vomiting punk, vomiting blood, I'm presuming. El Diablo up there. Band photos, it's just the singer, which is weird. That guy gave me a weird vibe when I met him, but regardless, I'm a big fan of his output. Yeah, fucking Phobia. Been listening to them a ton lately. What's really notable about Means of Existence, before I wrap up talking about how much I love this box set and this band, is that there's quiet moments like this, almost sludgy, and you can tell. I mean, they were buddies with Dystopia. I think Dino from Dystopia designed their this logo, and that sort of like sludgy, doomy kind of stuff they use for intros with like the samples over them. That really makes this record. They don't really use it as much on the other ones, but that's really them at their best. And this just... You can see this is a slap of hand. That climb riff, fucking awesome. So anyway, besides this, I have a pile of grindcore CDs, some of which are from the score, some of which I just, I've been getting the itch lately, and I had some Amazon points, so I picked up a couple of things other than this. If you like this stuff, if you're into this band, if you're curious, if you want to spend a few bucks, this is 4 CDs in a really nice package for like $25 on Amazon. If you don't want to support Amazon, you can probably get it from another distro from around the same price. Just an FYI. So anyway, lately I've been kind of obsessing over and thinking about putting myself back in that place I was in Maine when my roommate was listening to a lot of late 90s and early 2000s grind. Leading up to that, I had a lot of friends that were into this kind of stuff. You know, before Relapse kind of changed into something else. I mean, around this time they were putting out Neurosis and the early Pentagram stuff and Dillinger Escape Plan and Mastodon. So they were starting to branch out. They were really changing as a label. But I feel like that last couple of years they had a last gasp of like just ridiculous grindcore. I talked a little bit about Regurgitation last update, who put out an album called Carnivorous Erection. That's great. Hemdale, who I'll talk about in a minute, who had like the Lucio Fulci zombie playing with kittens. Like, it just seemed like a free-for-all. I don't know what was going on internally. I know Bill Yurkowitz was probably on the way out, maybe Pellethead as well. So there was there's a shifting of the guard, it seems like, at that time on that label. And they've come back to put out some good grindcore. I think that Cretan came out on there. That record's great. But I'm thinking the late 90s, early 2000s stuff before they started supporting more metalcore kind of stuff and progressive metal or whatever the hell Mastodon is considered. One band that I thought of a lot from that is this band Flesh Parade. And this is just a re-release of a 7-inch and a couple of demos. It's just ferocious grind, really thick death metal-y guitar tone, but kind of hardcore in spirit, sort of, because there's not a lot of leads. There's not, like, a lot going into the production. It sounds great, but there's not, like, any blazing layers. It's just thick, swampy, shrieking grindcore, very shrieky vocals. And fucking silly lyrics and artwork and stuff. Bruce Lee. So yeah, that was great. I also picked up, and I know a lot of people are scoffing, like, oh, you never got into that? Nope, not at the time. Dead Infection. This Surgical Disembowelment record. This is great. It's a band from Poland. And it takes a lot of the low-end influence from early Carcass stuff. There's not, like, a lot of back and forth, like, Big Dog, Little Dog shit going on. It's more just guttural kind of singing. Under it all, there's some great songwriting, some great riffs. Very bass-heavy, very detuned. Fucking Polish band. This is also on Self-Made God, who seem to put out a lot of good stuff. Thanks to Dr. Leszek Rubinski for his help for making the Surgery Theater pictures possible. That guy got fired. In the grind pile that I got for free, I got this Bazaar Vinyls, and I believe that's the name of the label. Bazaar Leprous production. Czech Republic label and comp. I think most of the bands are Eastern European. The only one I've heard of is Squash Bowels on here, and they have some of the best songs on here. This is kind of a big morass of, like, sloppy Carcass worship all over. Not that much has stuck with me. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times, I think. Utopia is really good. They have a really funny intro. Very gurgly, toilet flushing kind of vocals to the point where it might not really be my bag. Autophagia is good. Again, like early Carcass worship kind of stuff. Squash Bowels are awesome. Well-written, catchy grind, but the recording's kind of terrible and the mixing is super low. Like, it's... You have to adjust your volume accordingly, like, in between the songs. This band BRS after that are really bad. Like, I try to be even-handed when talking about stuff, but it's like poorly programmed drum machine grind that does not, if that's for a certain effect or whatever, it doesn't really resonate with me. And Twisted Truth and Decomposition, who neither of those really do anything for me. Maybe I don't have a sophisticated enough palate for gore grind or Carcass worship, but I mean, I will give Decomposition a little bit of credit for pretty good song titles. Elephant Excrement is a good one. Intestine Necros. Oh, Pussy Slasher, that's fucking charming. Odor of Pyosis. Terminal Autopsy. Okay. Your autopsy is telling you you're dead. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of goofy. Like, a few of these bands remind me of why I kind of gave this stuff a wide berth, like, way back when, but Squash Bowels, fucking great. This is the insert. It folds out. Yeah, it's a nice CD, you know, put together well. Most of it is not really my thing, though. This is great, however. This Exit 13 Hemdale split. This is a good example right here. Not to cut myself off, but this weird flangey, instrumental deal here. I wish Phobia did stuff like this more to mix stuff up, but they were always really good regardless. But anyway, yeah, this Exit 13, Gout de Belgium Black Weakeners with Hemdale on the flip. Originally a 7-inch, re-released with 3 or 4 bonus songs per band. Just a really cool. I miss these slipcase CDs, like the Underground Relapse series. This I don't think actually came out on Relapse. It might have, but I don't see anything on it, like who it was released by. This little insert slip saying, you know, what songs are what. This whole thing's over in like 15 minutes, I think. Gotta have the green CD with Exit 13, of course. And a cool little printed little mini folder, fold-out kind of deal with the Napalm Death font, the Man in the Moon, Potleaf, cartoon character, Hemdale stuff on the other side. 2-color offset printing, you know, not to nerd out too heavily about that, but that's, you saw a lot of that in like the 90s with like actual printing press kind of stuff, and it looks great. Super, very, very, very cool. I'm trying to remove super from my vocabulary because I realize I say it all the time. It's probably not going to happen. But music is great. Exit 13 steps it up a bunch on this. I believe this is the first recording they did after all the stuff that's on this collection of all these singles and demos and everything. It's really scrappy grind. By scrappy, I mean like kind of thin a little bit in sound compared to like your Napalm Deaths and Brutal Truths. Kind of punkish, but very weird. Like they mixed in like some weird psychedelic. I mean, if you know your Exit 13, you know years later they re-recorded an entire album's worth of just jazz songs about weed and played it straight, like didn't put any grind in. So they're that kind of band. Nothing too really odd and out of the box on this release, except for at the end of their Blazing Grind song, they have a little minute-long spoken word part where they just talk about how great Belgian beer is, which I think that shit tastes like shampoo myself, but hey, whatever. Hemdale, awesome, sick grind. You know, there's of course the early Carcass love going on. You know, the medical kind of pathological, physiological kind of thing with lyrically. Advanced intestinal love, gastrocolostomy, demented surgical incest. It's just like, you're just playing with words, aren't you? Kind of deal. But there's also, you know, like a good amount of like weird early sick like American death metal, I feel, combined with that. I feel like there's like some Impetigo and some Mortician in there. I definitely will pick up that discography with the Fulci zombie playing with kittens sooner than later, because I love the recording on this. A nice thick guitar buzzsaw tone, really heavy, catchy, great riffs. So yeah, I need more Hemdale now. I have a lot of Exit 13. I think I'm all set with that. Then I got this Impaled CD. Bought this in the wild at my local brick and mortar Salem Record Exchange while picking up some records. This was only $6. I said, why not? You know, it looked a little bit later, and it is. It's called Death After Life, and it came out on Century Media in 2006. It is their third full length. I looked up all that information on Wikipedia. So full credit to Wikipedia. Wikipedia probably won't send me a nasty email if I don't credit them or anything. There's the tray artwork. I know that these guys were a fucking big deal when bands like Exhumed, these guys, Engorged, all that early 2000s Razorback stuff started to hit. Very, very, very good. I know their earlier stuff is probably more straight up early Carcass worship, I'm thinking. Judging by the one song that I had on the Razorback comp, it is maybe a little bit more thrashy. This is a little different, and very cool. This is very, very well produced, very catchy, and is more along the lines of later Carcass, like more commercial Carcass, with super early Carcass. So you have gurgly vocals trading off the shrieky vocals, like really gurgly, you know, Symphonies of Sickness kind of vocals, but like almost Gothenburg riffing and melodies, but plenty of blasts too. It's a super fun record. It gets really cheesy at points. There's a lot of like voice acting interludes that are like, they're not from Reanimator. Yeah, that's gonna get edited to fuck. A lot of stuff that sounds like it's from Reanimator, but it's involving voice actors, and it's not actually from the movie, and it's way fucking cheesier. I could really do without that. It kind of has its charm, you know, but kind of goofy as well. But the music fucking slays, you know. This is my introduction to them. This is the first real album I've owned by them. I definitely have been aware of their existence for as long as they've been around, but I've just kind of pushed it off to the wayside. From Oakland, I didn't research, but I'm curious to see who from this band is kind of involved in all those new bands coming out of the Bay Area right now, because there's so much good shit with Necrot and all that. I imagine, like, at least one of these guys must be in one of those many, many fucking awesome bands from the San Francisco area. If not, it's a shame, but who knows, maybe not. I also got this Groinchurn CD. As far as I know, it's self-titled. Maybe it's called Fink. This came in just the booklet. It was probably in a CD wallet, I'm assuming. It's good. Man, is it fucking weird. It is also grindcore, also kind of on the earlier Carcass side of things, but unlike Impaled, who just involve later Carcass stuff, there's like weird groove riffs. They almost get kind of a sort of Bloodduster thing going on with like stoner rocky kind of riffs thrown in there, and going back to blasting, kind of like almost like the second Convulse record, sort of. Reflections, kind of like Death and Roll. I'm kind of reaching for descriptions here, but it's very unique, produced very well. I expected it to sound like it was recorded inside of a toilet paper roll kind of sound, but that's not what I got at all, which was refreshing after listening to some of the stuff in here. Speaking of rough recording, we also got this Hypochristians Terror During Prayer. I didn't realize that rhyme till now. CD as part of the pile, from Jason. And this is cool. It's really good. Super DIY. Very DIY. Printed CDs, but they're CDRs. I never quite understood why bands did that. Is it that much of a cost difference? You know? I think it's smaller amounts can be pressed that way, actually. Thinking out loud. Always a good idea while recording a YouTube video. Like a one-panel CD cover there. That's it. No booklet. Bands from Texas, I believe. Very good, very heavy, well-written, abrasive, punky grindcore. Very abrasive, though. Harsh stuff. You know, not quite the level of like a Japanese D-beat band or something like that, but very trebly. Sandpaper on the eardrums kind of thing, and it's got its share of good change ups, as far as tempo changes goes, and they seem pretty adept at their instruments, but it's recorded in a very visceral, orally punishing kind of manner. But I dig it. I just can't listen to more than 3 or 4 songs in a sitting before I start getting double vision or something. That's it. Thanks for watching Ground Zero Salem. I'll catch up with you guys soon. Later.